because we're a big group. Both sides of the table are full.
But there's some people going to be absent there on vacation and travel.
Okay, no problem. Well,
Yeah.
my recording started, so good. Thanks, James. Folks, just do me a favor. You know what? Let me take this from now and tell everybody that I don't want anybody to trip. Then when I come back, we'll sort this out.
Are you able to give me a copy of the module schedule? I don't know where I put that.
No problem.
Deal. Shit.
No, seriously, I could try to find it and I'm like,
Yes, it's a challenge.
get somewhere to work.
You
The
mean this,
schedule
right?
that I've got is you've got two more Saturdays. Is that right?
Yes, two more Saturdays? Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So you've got this one and then two more, and then you go back to
Thursday.
Thursday, is it?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be live, live there in the Biff's office.
Okay. But then after that, we have you again as a lecturer, right?
Pardon?
After that, we have you again as a lecturer, I think in the next month or two?
I don't think so. I think my commitment to you is Module 1 and Module 2 on this program. Have a look at the schedule. I'm just going to get my schedule.
Module 1. Keith
Yeah,
Checkley, yes. Module 1 and Module 2.
We don't have them anymore.
4 is David Stadler. 5 and 6 is Christine Archer.
Okay.
So the only time you'll see me will be, when we do some revision sessions before your exam later in the year. So
Okay.
you got me this week and the next 2 weeks.
Sounds good. Sorry, excuse me, please.
What is your name, sir?
Glad Stonebrook.
Clyde.
Glad Stonebrook.
Ken Donovan.
Nice meeting
Where do you work at?
you. Evans and Co.
Evansville, okay. Excellent.
You?
Kalina. You find that most people in here are either Kalina or
I'm
Hans.
trying to share the screen now, so hope that's coming
Yes,
through.
yes, we can see it.
Is there a
Right.
reason for that?
Pardon me?
Is there a
Yeah, so
reason for
2 is 15, 22nd, 29th of July. That's the Saturdays we've just been talking about.
Yes.
And then you've got Thursday evenings, as you said. So what we'll be focusing on shortly is a bit more on the client relationship skills, which is Module 2. Do you all have copies of Module 2 there?
Yes.
Good. But just before we get on to that, we've just got 1 or 2 bits left from Module 1 to finish off.
Because with Module 1 we got up to business startups, right?
That's right, we did, exactly. I was just about to find that. Well done, thank you. Which was on page 17 on my screen.
Yes.
17 for you, great.
Scott. You should have it right.
Now this is a really important area. We'll have a case study on
Is it
it.
Module 2?
Yes.
Not today, but a bit later on. But this is an important area because you'll get a lot of enquiries on this type of thing.
All right, no problem.
In your role as financial planners. So in the notes you'll see what I started off with by saying is it's a difficult area because often in a business startup there'll be no track record. So we've talked a lot about KYC, getting to know our customer, to help us with the financial planning techniques. But with business startups, quite often it's somebody coming in to your office or a couple of people maybe thinking they'll work in partnership, or maybe they're going to start a small company, and it's difficult because, you know, some people have really good ideas that will work out, and some, you know, have ideas that don't. So business startups has proven a very difficult area, but it's very important because, you know, as I say in the second paragraph, we want to encourage successful development of businesses, you know, everywhere in the world. You know, these small companies, you know, they can develop into large companies and be, you know, very, very successful. And in the Wealth Manager program, I mean, we look at Walmart, but when you look at the history of Walmart, you know, it was started by one man all those years ago, you know, Sam Walton, and now he's built up, you know, which is the largest retailer in the whole world. Oh, we just went down there.
You'll be back.
No. I had to add one student in. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Just for the moment, and hopefully she is there. Gia, you there? Sorry. No, not yet.
Just trying.
Hi, Gia, you there?
Sounds like a microphone rustling.
Okay.
Cash, business startups, page 17.
Oh, I give you one? Yeah. Yeah, we doing that for you right now.
I can see GW on the screen, but I don't know if she's there, and I don't know if she can hear. She's taking up off the screen.
Yeah, that's
How you doing?
Module 1 is for him.
Good morning.
Morning.
Understand. And then grab one of
Can
the
we-
cash flows,
Can
okay?
yeah, can we reduce the section on the screen, Miguel? Can you see on my screen while I can see?
Yeah, we can see.
All I can see is a big section with GW in a red circle.
Hi, brother, how you doing?
Yeah, give me 1 second to check.
Just while we're waiting for Miguel, you'll see in the second paragraph there, you know, I'm saying startups do have a high failure rate, you know, and that's very true here in the UK. So I'd like you to think just for a moment or two and jot down 1 or 2 ideas, you know, not from things you've read, but from your own personal knowledge. You know, why do you think these startups, these small business startups, you know, why do they fail in your experience? What experiences have you had? Just make a couple of notes on that, and then we'll talk about it, and then I can give you, you know, the reasons generally why they fail in the UK, and we'll see if there's a lot of similarities. So just take a moment or two while we're getting organized to think about, you know, why the looks of these startups fail.
We're doing business startups, page 17 in module 1. He's saying that in the second paragraph, most startups fail. He's asking us from our experience or general knowledge, try to put down a couple of points. Why do we think that most startups fail?
Oh, that's easy.
Good morning.
Understandably, so thank you for joining us today.
I try. Startups fail because of lack of experience, lack of knowledge, lack of market study, lack of marketing. No, it's never that, because you can waste a lot of
So we're
money.
just picking up a little bit from the module 1 that we didn't quite finish off, and then we'll move into the module 2.
But then, in second countries, it's into like to show people. So
Yeah, give me at least 2 minutes, because I want to put my student on another computer, okay? So you don't have to sit with GW.
Exactly.
I was seeing the sole of your shoes too.
So well, you can do that while these folks are thinking about why
great.
business startups have a high failure rate. And then we'll discuss it. So we'll give Miguel a few minutes there.
All you have to do is look at your module, your schedule, Friday. It's going to be another hot one. Yeah, Janine and Feisty is on vacation.
Miguel, can you put the microphone back
In the middle of the room?
towards the end of the table? So we can discuss it, yeah? Pull it down towards that lady in blue there, a bit further down.
Right now? Okay. I guess you're the spokesman. Or the outspoken one.
They're omnidirectional, aren't they?
It's not hard.
Alright.
Come down. We went down there. Can you still see me on the screen?
Yes, we can still see you. Can you hear us okay?
Screen?
Yeah, we can see the document on the screen. We have the document
Great.
in front of us.
Okay, well let's start to talk about it. So what experience have you had in Nassau of these business startups? Have you had any personally, and have they all succeeded, or have a few of them just not get going, or what's been your experience? Who'd like to start us off?
I haven't had any personally, however, watching a lot of business startups here, it appears that they don't have a plan, they don't have good product knowledge or a focus for their products. They lack the amount of capital they need to carry out their vision. And in addition to that, I find that a lot of small businesses in the Bahamas, they don't know how to differentiate between personal funds and business funds.
It sounds very, very low.
Okay.
I could hear the lady, but only just.
Testing 1, 2. This is a group. Really?
She was saying people don't have the technical expertise.
Yes, product focus and the capital, the proper amount of capital that they need, and they find it hard to differentiate between their personal funds and business funds, and understanding that to me in the first possibly 2 years of a business, 2 to 5 years, you don't make profit right away. You have to reinvest what it
Yeah.
is you believe is profit. And they don't understand that, and they don't have the discipline to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very important area and a very, very difficult area for business persons entering a business to understand that you must put some of the cash aside as you progress, you know, for capital investment, maybe in your product development, or if you're in a processing situation or you have some sort of plant, you know, that you need to make these investments. Because if you don't make the investments, all you're doing is exploiting what you've got, and you're not planning and helping to explore for the future. So is that your experience there?
Yes.
Yeah. The mic's really clear now, so maybe that one you've got a moment ago isn't omnidirectional. There's usually a switch on the back that makes it pick up sound from any direction.
Yeah, I have in the middle, so it should be.
No, those mics, they have an omnidirectional switch, so you can hear people from all directions.
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah. Okay, so that's a good point. The capital aspect's really difficult because, you know, lots of people who want to start a business won't have much capital, but you're quite correct. And lots of businesses fail because they don't have sufficient capital. You know, and they'll go along to the bank, and as you said, if they don't have a proper business plan, which again is quite difficult to do, any prospective lender, you know, needs a business plan to try and make a judgment on, you know, how they see the viability. So some very good points coming out there. Anyone got anything to add to that?
Can I just add that
Huh?
even in situations where you're well capitalized,
Yes.
poor market research could mean that you overvalue the market or underestimate the market. Additionally, you could very well have the wrong pricing model and
Yeah.
offer the wrong products in the wrong marketplace. So you could be set up with everything you need to succeed,
Yeah.
but if you're
Yeah.
offering the wrong products to the wrong market,
Yeah,
it
at the wrong price.
at the wrong price. It simply means that
Yeah.
you'd be stuck with a whole bunch of stock that nobody wants or no one wants.
Yeah, so that's really, really difficult area.
So that's
The aspect-
so that's
aspect
one
of
way you can burn
pricing,
through your
The
capital.
aspect of researching the marketplace. I mean, it's a little bit easier now.
Okay. Sorry about that, folks.
That was a shame we went down.
Yeah, sorry about that, Chappie. Sorry about that. That was my fault. My apologies.
As Miguel said, it's always worse when he's there.
Yeah, it
You can
is.
see the reason why. Okay, I'll try sharing the screen again. Should be coming on in a moment. There we are. It's come on now. You can see my screen now?
Yes.
Great. Okay, yeah, picking up on those points, some very, very good points there. So you could have saved up, you know, or you've got some capital from somewhere to start the business, so you could be adequately capitalized, but your product might not fit the marketplace, or the pricing of the product might not fit the marketplace. And again, that's a very difficult area. So what we see then is there are lots of areas that can cause these small businesses to fail. And for you as financial planners, this will be a difficult area because people, you know, will want to use you as a bit of a sounding board, you know, to see if you think they've got a good idea, you know, and some people will come along with a good idea, but it's very hard to identify. I mean, I remember somebody coming along to me who said they developed an industry when people are welding, you know, if you have a car repair, sometimes they're in Nassau, you'll use a welding torch, you know, maybe to weld part of the chassis of your car. Well, generally they're like gas sort of powered. But this guy came up to me years and years ago and he said he'd invented. I mean, how do you know? How do you know, if that's going to be a success or not? And, will it actually work? So I asked him to give me a demonstration, and then he said, oh, well, the only demo one that we've got, it's away off site at the moment, and so the story went on and on. And to cut long story short, this guy was just, trying to raise some capital on something that he had an idea on, so he'd actually never made a prototype that would actually work. So yes, so there's lots of difficult areas. Over-optimism is a frequent reason for failure here in the UK. And so that goes back to your point about the market research. Over-optimism meaning, they think they're going to get a lot more sales more quickly than is a reality. And that also picks up the lady's first comment in terms of the capital they've got. What capital have they got to sustain these expected sales if they're going to get them? And then patience is key, because you probably need 1 to 2 years, as you said, where you're not going to draw much out of the business, because if you are making profit, the profits need investing to try and sustain a longer term future for the business. But this aspect of capital investment for the future is not just applicable to small businesses. I can tell you, here in the UK, there are lots of medium to large size businesses, where they might be making millions of profit, and they're not putting aside any capital investment, which is stupid, isn't it? They're just simply exploiting what they're doing right now, and they're not really planning for the future, and that's what we would call short-termism. Short-termism in business isn't a good thing. What else do we have? Well, because there'll probably be no track record, what we need to try and find out is, what have these people done before? If there's a couple of them coming to see us with a business plan, maybe to start a small hotel, have they had experience? These are very basic questions. Have they had experience in the hotel industry, or do they just think it's a good idea and they're going to go into that type of business? So you're going to need to try and explore, what their background is. Do they have a related industry background that would help? Anyone got any other thoughts before we take a look at the business plan checklist? Any other points come to mind while we've been talking?
I think maybe location would be a key factor as well.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. The location, particularly as I just mentioned, small hotel, where the small hotel is located is absolutely key, isn't it? In tourism, location is a key, very much a key aspect. And you know yourselves, in retail stores, for example, someone starting a small shop, where is it going to be located? Is it at the right end of Bay Street, or is it down, heading down towards the bridge, where last time I was in Nassau in February, nothing much happens down that end at all, does it? When you're getting down Bay Street, heading towards the bridge for Paradise Island, so location would be a key issue. Anything else?
Technology as well.
Yeah.
I find that it can be, depending on what type of business you're in, it can be very efficient and useful for you. However, you can have too much technology and it can work against you as well. So
Right.
finding the right technical fit to make your job more efficient and cost effective, I think it's important.
So that's an interesting point. So, not dashing into technological systems and using our precious capital in that area if it's not necessarily fitting the business. And I think that's a very, very good point. That what we're trying to do is make what we're doing fit within our business plan. So what we're looking for is what we would now call, in the UK, the most modern term to fit on to what you just said there is strategic finance. So you'll have all heard of corporate finance, and you'll have heard of various types of finance and packages. And when you think of strategic finance, what you're trying to do is, just as the lady mentioned, we're trying to fit the finance, within the business strategy, the business objectives. What's the business trying to achieve? And if we're thinking in that direction, and we'll do more of this towards the end of this module, we'll be saying to ourselves, well, what are the alternative sources of finance? You know, because the temptation for people in business startups is just to go along to the bank, isn't it? You know, and they say to the bank, oh, can I have some money to help me start my business? But you have to think a bit more widespread than that. You know, is there a possibility of getting a number of people together, maybe, you know, to take some shares in the small business? You know, share capital structure is an alternative, and you might have you heard of crowdfunding?
Yeah.
Which is internet-based. Yeah, gentlemen at the back's nodding. So that's a similar thing. It's a getting together of a number of people, but it's generally internet-based, and they're trying to get investors via the internet. Simply as a crowd of people, you know, to make investments. So these things need to be thought about, and it's good for discussion. So here's a business plan checklist. Now what you need to do to this is add things to it that you think are more applicable, you know, within your environment there, and you might want to cross some things out, but basically this is a list we've had for quite a long time. And you know, when you're talking to these people and you say, well, have you got a business plan? You know, sometimes people really back off, won't they, because they don't have a plan. You know, the only plan they have is in their head, yeah? You know, and they'll say, oh well, you know, two guys were talking in the bar last night, you know, having a few sans beers or Gaelic or whatever, and we came up with this idea. Yeah, but where's your business plan? Yeah. Now, I've had the opposite of that, where you know you get a business plan's about this thick, yeah, hundreds of pages of it, and then the people coming in to see you, what do they want? They want an instant comment on their business plan. So you've got to play for time there and say, well, you know, how long did it take you to put this business plan together, and did you do it yourself? Because the chances are they haven't. You know, they've probably done that with an accountant or some other business people, and you need time to study it properly. So you have these extremes, but what we're looking for is a business plan that starts off with the business objectives. And as the lady mentioned earlier, that will give focus, you know, to what they're trying to do. What are the objectives of the business? And also, linked to those objectives, can we have a time scale? But if they say to you, oh, my objective is to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange, you know, within 3 years, goodness me. I mean, look, that's a bold objective, isn't it? Right. And probably one which is way over optimistic, unless you can invent something, you know, like Yahoo or Google or Amazon or whatever. So the objectives need to be clearly stated, and then following on from that, you know, who are going to be the management of the business. And this will be key once again, so we could write against there KYC once again, you know, who are these people? And at the end of the day, as we've discussed before, it'll be like any other business, you know, it'll either succeed or fail to a degree based on the people. And that incorporates what you said earlier about the market research. You know, have the people done the proper market research? And you'll see that comes up next. Point number 3, the marketplace. So what we're looking for here is some statistics. It doesn't have to be lots and lots and lots of figures, but we do need some statistics that show us these people have actually looked at the market. You know, what's the size of the market? Is it a very mature market, or is it new? Is it emerging, or is it static, or is it declining? Yeah? You know, what marketplace are they going into? And then within that market, that leads us to your earlier comment about products. So here's the products coming next. And against products, you could put products and pricing, because I haven't got that on there, but that's really, really important. And then, if the product is something they are simply buying in and then selling on, or if the product is something they're going to be making using raw material, then the key thing, if it's a retailer again, for example, is the suppliers, yes? You know, have they secured suppliers for the business, and if so, what sort of terms are they getting? And we discussed terms when we were looking at the clothing imports case. Then do they have any physical resources, any premises in mind, or is it going to be an internet-based business? Personnel, what sort of staff are they having working for them? And then we start coming to the numbers section, which generally most business people find really difficult because we're looking for a profit forecast and, as we discussed before, the very important document of the cash flow forecast or the cash forecast, some people call it the cash budget. So we can see the effect in terms of cash flow of their business plan. Now sometimes people might ask you, which should I do first? Do I do a profit budget first, or do I do the cash flow first? What would you think?
Cash flow.
Cash flow.
Profit.
Cash flow.
Okay, so there's a mixed opinion there, and the majority are saying cash flow. Actually, what I would always suggest is, because the cash flow is much more difficult to do because of the timing of receipts and payments, I'd always suggest they start with the more simple budget, which is the profit budget. So a good place to start would be the profit budget. Why? Because the starting point within the business plan, when they're talking about the objectives and the products, where the products are going to be, the top line will be the sales, won't it? So a good starting point that they should have thought about quite a lot would be what sales they're hoping to get. So it gets us up to a good start with the profit budget, because don't forget the profit budget will be sales, there's a whole bunch of costs to give us the projected profit or the projected loss in the first year. So I wouldn't start with the cash flow. I'd start with that document first, and then based on what's going in there,
What do you think?
then we can start to think about the timing of the
point I'm trying to
receipts,
make.
the timing of the receipts from the sales, is it the direct timing of cash flow, where they're selling for cash, or are they selling on credit, and there's going to be a delay. So yes, you're quite right to say cash flow and that it's very, very important, but what I'd always suggest is they start with the profit budget, because it gets them off to an easier start, thinking of the sales of the business and then working your way down.
Mr.
Now once
Jackman,
we've got, yes?
also just as a hint too, when you go to do the cash flow budget, the first line in the cash flow budget, you start with income.
That's right, yeah. So that's it.
So you gotta have your income before you could do your cash, well, based upon the cash flow model.
Can you pull them out towards just slightly?
Yeah, no, just based upon the cash flow model as a hint.
Yeah.
The first line of the cash flow model, cash flow module
Yeah.
starts with the income.
The income, correct.
So you
Yeah,
gotta have your
but-
income first.
Yeah, that's right. So, but it's not actually starting with income. It's starting with the, what?
Projection.
No, the receipts from the income, yeah? Yeah?
Right, correct.
Yeah? Yeah. So it's a question of timing is what I'm trying to get at. So I support what you're saying, and that cash flow annualized model that we did starts with the operating profit. But when we're looking at cash flow, overall, when we're trying to get at the net cash position, there's going to be a lot in there that's to do with the timing of receipts and payments. And I would suggest to you, that little template that we discussed when we first met, and I think we wrote down sales, less cost of sales, yeah?
Right.
Giving us gross profit, less the overheads to give us the operating profit. Now that's a really, really simple template you can use on any business. You can use it on John Bull, you can use it on Atlantis Hotel, you can use it on any business except the bank or a financial institution, because their income statement is different format. But any business, Dell Computers that he's probably got in the room there, the Dell computer, or the company making those microphones, you can use that template. It's very simple. Sales, less cost of sales, gross profit, less the overheads to give us operating profit. So when we think of the profit budget, and we're going to do this either later this morning or next week, what we'll do is we'll take that simple template and we'll use that to project the profit, yeah?
Mhm.
So we're not accountants, but we can take that template and we can do a profit projection using that. Then the cash flow will follow on from that. Okay, does that answer your question? Okay. So very good points there. Yeah, so yes, some people will start straight away with the cash flow, but my recommendation would be, well, hang on a minute, don't do that, because you're gonna come to things where the timing of receipts and the timing of payments. So it's always a good idea, I think, to start with the sales, and the business people feel comfortable with that, because whether it's an existing business or a business startup, most people will have thought, about the sales and what sort of profits they're hoping to make. Now, when we've got those forecasts, then we can come on to something that you can contribute as financial planners, is we can look at what we would call, and you can write this down if you wish, financial engineering. So I know it says there outside finance requirement, but when you get those key documents, then we can look at them and we can say to ourselves, well, what if this didn't happen there, but it happened here? But you can't do any of this financial engineering, until we've got the documentary information. So again, this helps us, because if people are reluctant that you meet and they say, well, I haven't got time to bother, with all that sort of stuff, and they don't want to involve the accountant in helping them, I mean, you're going to have a problem, and it's fair to say to these people, well, look, we're going to try and help you, but it's difficult to help you with financial advice, until we get these foundation documents, yeah? Okay, so turning to the UK experience. UK have very high failure rates. 70%, sometimes more than that, of new businesses, unfortunately, in the UK fail, and that's a terribly high statistic. Main reason for failure, just the things that you've been talking about, the skills of the people going into the business, over-optimism about their products in the marketplace because they haven't done enough research in the marketplace, and then often a lack of sufficient capital. They're trying to run on a minimum amount of capital, and they're taking, large debt where they can get it, to try and push this business forward. Now, in the second paragraph, you can see I put a point down about lenders. So this is the bankers. Some lenders consider that a director's guarantee, supported by a charge over personal assets, that would be a mortgage over the personal assets, can be regarded as a substitute for capital. Now, this is a trap. This is a trap for the lender, because what they're then doing is they're supporting this business based on a feeling that they're more comfortable because they've got security, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know as well as I do, the security might be of comfort to the lender, but the security does not mean, for all the reasons we've just been talking about, that business is going to succeed, yeah? So the fact that the lender's comfortable with security won't impact, as that gentleman said there, on the market research, will it? It won't impact on the pricing of the products. It won't impact on what the lady was saying earlier about the adequacy of the capital. So that's a lender's position and a lender's position approach. But what we're looking at as financial planners, we're trying to look and see, if this business, we can help them, if we can, to try and succeed. Very, very hard area. So we'll have a business case study on this, which we'll look at next week, where we'll look at the business startup and we'll come back to this business plan checklist and see what we make of it. So here's the financial budgets. We just talked about the profit budget. So constructing a profit budget, this is just summarising what we've been discussing. What we're endeavouring to do is project forward our trading in profit and loss account. So you could write on that, project forward our income statement, yeah? Is it always income statement? So the profit budget should be relatively straightforward because as I said earlier, the income statement generally on most businesses are relatively straightforward. It only gets complicated, you know, when you're looking at very large companies. But once again, that template we've been discussing will fit the very, very large companies. And if you want to try that yourself sometime, just go on the internet, pick a favourite company of yours, you know, a big international company, maybe a US company or a European company, and look for the investor relations or media section, and look for their annual report and accounts. Generally on these big companies that you know it'll be 100 pages plus, so just head for the content section, head for the income statement, take a couple of deep breaths before you look at it, because the initial look might put you off, but then look again with that template and just look for the sales, the cost of sales, what's the gross profit, what's their overhead costs. You might be calling those by different names. Americans often call it SG&A, selling, general and administration, and then look for their operating profit, and you should find they all fall into that format that we've been talking about. Now when we go on from that to the cash flow, this is where it gets a bit more difficult, but if you look at the second paragraph, again just summarising what we've been discussing, the main difference is really one of timing. So for example, if sales are sold on credit, there will be a delay in the receipt of the cash. Purchases, if you take trade credit, purchase payments to the suppliers will not be needed immediately. Now here's a little chart that should help you know what goes where. Now I would mark this up in your notes, because quite often I understand, we don't see the exams, but quite often I understand from feedback from people, there are questions on this, what goes in and where goes where, yeah? So for example, in the profit budget, we'd include the sales that are invoiced, the materials that are used, all the costs that's incurred, interest charges only, so you'll see there's no capital repayments in there, because you'll see the capital is going to come out of cash flow, and depreciation. Now what we exclude from the profit budget is capital expenditure, any grants, any sales of fixed assets, any loan or HP capital repayments, and in the UK, any value added tax. Now I know in Nassau you've just had, is it VAT introduced, or
Yes.
do you call it the sales tax?
VAT, right.
You call it VAT, yes. So VAT will be important to you, but I don't know how they're treating VAT in Nassau, because some countries treat VAT differently. Anyone know whether VAT would be included or excluded from the profit budget?
Included.
Or is that a question we need to reserve for Module 3 when you see Sam Wilkinson, the accountant?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
Keep a
not
note
sure.
of that then.
Mr. Chackley, I'm not sure about the VAT, but the one in the exclusion, when you have sales on fixed assets,
Yes,
suppose there's a realized gain. Is that
good.
included in the
So where would
balance?
that go?
I'm
Where
sorry.
where would the gain on the asset go?
Would that be included in the balance sheet in terms of the capital
Yes.
asset section?
Now let's think about it carefully. If you sell a fixed asset, and we had this last week or the week before, if you sell a fixed asset, is that cash coming in?
Yes.
So that's going to come into the cash flow, isn't it?
Yes.
Now if you sell a fixed asset for more than the balance sheet value,
Yes.
you're going to get cash coming in from the sale, as we've discussed, but then there's going to be an element of profit. So where would that go?
normally in my experience in the income statement.
Exactly. And it'll probably go in as an extraordinary.
Yes.
Or a, what's the other word? There's two words. One is extraordinary and the other is, yeah, something. I'll think about it. There's two types of words that the accountants use when you make a gain on something that's not, it's not a trading gain, is it?
Right. It's an extraordinary gain.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Good question. And then on the other side, in the cash budget, here's something to underline straight away, sales receipts. And that's what you said a few minutes ago. And we want that highlighting because it's not actually the sales, it's actually the sales receipts. And then there we have the point on a fixed asset. If we sell a fixed asset, it would go in there. If we have capital expenditure, when we're buying fixed assets or equipment or whatever, that's going to go in there. Any grants that we receive, maybe a government grant for job, for job stimulation, you might get some sort of grant, or there's a grant because you're in a particular development area. Costs are actually paid. Any repayments and interest go into the cash budget. Any VAT, in our opinion, and then creditors paid for supplies. So this is cash payments to the suppliers. And you can see there we have exclude depreciation. Now we discussed this before. Can you remember why we exclude depreciation?
It's a non-cash item.
Excellent, well done. It's a non-cash item, so we wouldn't put that within the cash budget. Depreciation will come, as you can see in the top left box, depreciation's there. So there's some summary items there. And the next section here, we just have a short section about franchising. Now you do have some franchising in Nassau. Can anyone think of a franchise style operation in Nassau?
McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly, McDonald's, yeah. KFC may be franchise, I'm not too sure. But generally it's big name brands where the person who's trying to run the business will become in a relationship with the franchisor. Yeah? So the definition is franchising is an operation whereby an organisation, so that's the franchisor, and you could write there McDonald's if you want, with a market-tested product or service. So this time, one of the advantages we're going to see is that market and that product and the price of it is tested, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You know, we know it's going to sell. So they're going into a contract with individuals, that's the franchisees, to set up and finance their own business, to operate under the franchisor's trade name, to market the product or service. The franchisee is the potential entrepreneur, so that's the person you might be having discussions with. The franchisor charges an initial fee for use of the name and backup facilities, plus an ongoing annual charge, usually based on the sales turnover, or a loading on the cost of supplies from the franchisor. Now we can't be more specific than that because that would depend on the franchise agreement. So if you get into discussion with people who are thinking of doing this, one of the key things you might need to make a note of there is, you want to see, or they want to see with their accountant to begin with, the franchise agreement so you can get an idea what's happening. So there are some advantages to this. You've got the support of a large organisation. You've got a reduced risk because you're not setting up your own business that hasn't got a tried and tested operation in an established format. And most of these franchises, they supply the franchisee, with great detail, even to the extent of, how the products, if it's a retail franchise operation, how the products are stocked, how they're displayed on the shelves, etc., etc. And all of this will be based on the on the past franchise operation. One of the businesses I've mentioned before is Anita Roddick's Body Shop, which started in the UK and became a worldwide cosmetic product store, over 600 shops worldwide, and most of those were franchise operations. But Anita Roddick, who started the first one, and it was her idea, she would interview every person who wanted to set up a franchise, using her Body Shop name and product. She would personally interview them. She didn't delegate that to anybody else because she wanted to be sure that the person she met, would be able to run it to the standards that she wanted. Now, also, the franchisee might have access to finance, because sometimes these big organizations will have some type of franchisee package of finance. So again, that's something else you can find out. And then they might have training, as you can see there, and continuing assistance, by way of advertising, training, research, and then purchasing power. There's bulk purchasing power from the franchisor to the benefit of the franchisee. So I think you'll agree quite a lot of advantages there. But as you'd expect, because there's all those advantages, there's going to be a number of disadvantages. And one of them is the restrictions. So it's not really for people who feel very entrepreneurial, and they want to kind of do their own thing, etc., and they want a lot of freedom of choice in the business, because they'll have to do, what they're told under the terms of the franchise agreement, and there would be significant payment of fees. So generally, you're not going to make a huge amount of money out of this type of business, but the advantage, as we discussed earlier, is, it should help develop a successful business. And then there's the action of the franchisor. The franchisor may not operate the franchise as the franchisee had expected. For example, support may not be provided. The franchisor's policies may change to the disadvantage of the franchisee, and the name of the franchise may not be promoted to the best effect. So there's a few sort of warning notes right at the end there. Everybody okay on that bit there? So you won't get a lot of requests for discussions on franchise style operations, because there's not that many. There's not that many around. So here's some questions to help your discussion. If you have a potential franchisee, and straight away it goes on to something that you were saying there, how strong is the market for this service? What information can the franchisor provide on this matter? So, can they give you some market information? Now, the next one is very British focused. Is the franchise a member of the British Franchise Association, which lays down a strict code of conduct? Now, you might want to write against that, if it's a US business, is there a US strict code of conduct for franchise businesses? I mean, the Americans are much, much more strict on regulation than we are in the UK, so there's almost bound to be an American organisation which would be a US Franchise Association. Be interesting to have a look at that on the internet. I'll make a note and have a look myself. US franchise. How long has the franchisor been established? Gosh, well, McDonald's been going a hell of a long time. And KFC, is there any competition, independent or under a different franchise? That's an interesting question. Has the franchisor prepared any projections? So that would be useful, if they will assist the franchisee, helping with the business plan in terms of what the expected sales might be and the costs, etc., etc. So that'll help you with the discussion. Are there restrictions on the disposal of the business if the franchisee wants to sell? So consult a solicitor or a lawyer about the terms of the franchise agreements. That's very, very important. You know, is there an exit clause? Or are these people tied in, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? If there's an exit clause, is there any breakage penalty there? What assistance will the franchisor offer with bookkeeping and VAT aspects of the business? So they might well have some centralized bookkeeping system that again the franchisee could have access to. So I think that's a good list of questions, and that should support you in your conversations. Okay, so that should bring us to the end of that module 1, with the exception of the business startup case study, which we'll take a look at next week. Okay, so I've been talking non-stop for an hour, so I'm just going to call a 5-minute break where you have a stretch of legs or whatever, and I'm going to make a very, very quick cup of tea, and we'll reconvene in 5 minutes, and then we'll get into the module 2, okay? Thank you.
I'm on your vacation, eh?
No, I did go to Miami. It's very soon.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
He can go.
And then you're
And then you could too.
I mean,
Then you could do that.
he said this guy's a good one.
Yeah. Up and down. Survive though. Good stuff.
You know? About 2 weeks ago, I never said that to you. She said it to you and I said it down, yeah? Okay, let me go back. Huh? I said it to everybody. I mean, I don't know why he just doesn't do the front class. What are you going to do? I get a copy of it.
Everybody not there.
I know.
This is your first conference?
Yes.
Okay.
Gloves.
He has recordings of the previous lectures, so you can ask him to email them to you. Just, it's 3. Mm-hmm. The second one and the third one, but heavy.
I should get that actually.
Yeah,
You should
just-
send it to everybody.
Yeah,
on the
it is.
list, yeah.
He has?
No,
I'm just
he
saying you should
hasn't.
use the list
And just set
Oh,
it
the
up.
sign-in list?
Yeah,
Right.
if you could.
Tell him send
On the
all,
book.
because the one I needed didn't say.
What he said.
He said,
just
oh
send
yeah, I
it-
got
just send
send
it
it
to
out, I got send it out, but I don't
everybody.
know why it's not in like a centralized location where you
What?
can just put it on the website or something.
It's on YouTube, actually. But he has the labels I find on Clear because he has them for all the classes. So you have to literally scroll through. That's a bit much. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So is there a supplementary material? Or is this it right there?
That's it right there. But I find with the video,
I would think it.
not necessarily. I find with the
Yeah.
video to
Because that's what
be my
she's
best
saying,
friend in
that
addition
I
to
went
this.
on to it, and they
Um,
have classes for
And
economics.
when studying for the Series 7, I found with the video to video, as well as Quizlet.com. They have
You said it's a small operation that they have running.
a lot of material. I haven't looked at Quizlet for this yet, though, because they have lectures in slide form, and then they have exams to every chapter or module.
And do you know if there are any exams with it?
Yes,
That's
so,
the question.
yeah, there's, well, someone emailed it to me. It's all multiple choice.
So how do you, have you
Have I opened it?
Yeah.
No. Not even gonna lie to you.
Oh, there's an email.
No, someone externally emailed it to me. I can email it to you, but I don't know if he has something. You can ask him. Yeah. But it's all multiple choice.
About how many questions?
I think it's at 300.
No, 150?
Oh, 150 questions are.
Oh,
300.
What?
Wrong class.
And then there's a final exam.
November 18th, if there's no hurricane.
Have you tried the markers yet?
No.
You have access to
You?
I didn't even
Yeah.
open it.
Where
He
is
said
it?
everyone. He said no, I haven't got it.
You sent it to me.
Well, I got it from Ken.
Okay.
Right there.
Mock exam, you have it?
Yeah.
You gotta share it?
Do you understand why I'm on the list?
Right.
You in the same building? I don't.
We in the same building.
No. I sent it to you. That's why I sent it to you.
Oh.
But I'm saying,
They
she
in the
even
same
said she know already.
I didn't email that to you. There's a link in the email.
I may not send it to you anyway.
No, I sent it to you.
I'll double check.
and ask
Have you seen it?
You know, more than
Because you know some days you talk to people and some days you
Oh,
don't.
Prescott?
Who's he talking to?
You Prescott.
That's not true.
I know it isn't. No, it isn't. I can't do that to you.
Oh, you meant
The
to
stress is really not.
tell me to send it to everybody one time.
Yes, but I'm gonna be your backup because Miguel ain't dizzy.
That's gonna be it.
In the little time you've known Miguel,
I'm
you
gonna
ain't
say
figured that
every
out yet. Miguel dizzy?
I can see where the time is gonna be an issue.
You mean getting
Yeah, when
getting
I
on
try it,
it?
yeah. The timing, I see where they're saying where time is what really gets you.
You mean an exam?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have it in here somewhere. Mock exam.
See that? She has it in there.
I got it from. I see your name. Kenneth. Yes, I see your name. Okay. Jonathan.
No, that's not me. My name is Ken Dollar.
Yeah. Okay, I'm back. My cup of
Okay.
tea. Okay, so let's take a look at this document, if I can find it.
Put your email in.
Yeah, so module 2 is the client's relationship skills, and
Put your email in.
now I'm not sure if I've got exactly the same document here as you. Have you got the table of contents there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So it talks about negotiating, selling, time management, customer meetings, report writing, telephone, interviewing, all that sort of stuff. and then it's got a section towards the end on business visits. Yeah? Okay, now, what I need you to do is ask, can Miguel pop through for a minute?
Yeah, can
Alright, no problem.
Wasn't he supposed to do two? Wasn't it supposed to be two sheets?
copy he gave me of everybody's email.
Okay.
Yeah, and you
So what we're going to start with is you'll see the section on interviewing techniques. So just to give us a break, from the paper, we're going to look at a video film where you'll see two interviews, and the interview revolves around the case study, which is a grocery store. So you should have this in your modules, in your module case studies. James the grocer. Yeah, I'm going to ask you to play the film in a minute, Miguel. Will you do that for us?
Do what? Play James Grocer? That's not a problem.
Just the first part, the first interview, and then we need to stop it. So just before Miguel puts it on, let's make sure everybody can find the case study.
That should be there.
It should be in your module 1 case study.
Oh, module 1 case study.
Yeah. See if you have it played. I should have. It looks just like this.
Yeah. Page 1.
Okay.
before the cash flow one. Right before the cash flow you did. The
So you go to page 25, then page 1. Get to page 25,
Page 25.
and then
Hold on,
it should
hold
be
on.
the very next page.
Yeah, if you find it, help your neighbour to find it, help your buddy. You don't have to call them buddies.
Interviewing James the Grocer.
Help your buddy to find it.
Mike, good man. You have it. Try your last. I put it behind your module too. I might have accidentally put it behind your module too.
Find relationships too. This is where you're talking to the person.
If you haven't got it, just share with
No, no problem. I will put yours on.
Yeah.
Saving it out, yeah, we
Can't do it now, because you're going to do the video. He's gone. Okay, while he's gone, we'll talk a bit about the case. So if you look at the case and you're sharing with your neighbour there, so James the Grocer wants to expand his supermarket business by acquiring the premises next door with a flat attached. The cost of new premises will be $75,000. Mr. James is going to go to his bank, where he's going to be wanting to get some opinions from you first, and he's going to ask them for a loan of $45,000. However, it's anticipated that extra costs, including legal, building, and shop fixtures, will amount to $11,000. So when he goes to the bank, he's going to be asking for $45,000 plus 11.
56.
So 56, correct. Now, if we just put in the calculator $56,000, then we need to use the interest rate that's applicable to this particular case, because you'll see this links into the video. So it's $56,000 at 17%, and that should give you $9,520 for the interest only. Okay? So if you write that down, interest 9520, that's without the capital repayments. Now, what you've got there, can you see on the same page, you've got, well, it says trading and profit and loss, but it's income statements. You've got 3 years income statements, and this is in that simple format that we've been talking about. There's the sales, look, there's the cost of goods sales, there's the gross profit, and then there's a whole bunch of overhead costs to give the profit before tax towards the bottom there. And then on the next page, you've got 3 years balance sheets. Okay, now, is Miguel still in the room, or has it disappeared again?
It's disappeared again. You need it?
Yeah, we need him to play the video, yeah. No,
the loan is going to repay is 56,000,
56.
45 plus the 11.
Yeah, 45 plus the 11. So one of the things we're wanting to learn from the interview is where is the extra $30,000 coming from? Okay, so what you'll see is the first interview, and then Miguel will stop it after the first interview, and we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about whether it was a good interview, the things that you observed, you know, was the interview planned, was it carried out effectively, all the sorts of things that you would want to do as financial planners. Then we'll talk about it and get your opinions, and then we'll play the second interview and see if you think that's better or worse than the first one. Okay, is everybody ready?
Mm-hmm. Okay, folks, if you type in Miguel W. Pratt, you'll see me right there in the YouTube, because I'm going to still send you the link. Okay? Once you click that on, you can see our video, all the videos. I mean, it'll be easier for me to. Like this one that's the CFP Junior 2000. Yeah, that's one of the links. But I'll find the links for you. And
You mean these are for the lectures, right? Or for the classes?
yeah, these are classes here. So this one will be. Okay. Yeah, he's your lecturer for the. So James goes to.
Yeah, Miguel's doing 100 things at once as usual, yeah. So he wasn't talking about the gross up video, he's going to put that on. He's talking about our classes that we have. If you miss any, he generally records them, posts them on YouTube. They're quite good to look at if you want to do some revision, you know, on certain points you're not too sure of, as you get further into the program. You can see yourself in action on YouTube, and you can post a like or a dislike. Thumbs up or thumbs down. So we're just filling in time while Miguel does whatever he's doing.
Yeah, hopefully.
So if you have more stuff to get, right? More information. You have more information to get at the time.
I think that's the mark.
No, we did module 6, right?
Oh,
We did
okay.
module 6.
Something. I think this was basically.
I'm trying to figure out if we can
You know?
because we feel like we go like a snail's pace.
I think last year they this year last year's class they did.
But that's because of the hurricane. The hurricane interrupted.
COMANASK, Colma, 2000. You're Anushka.
Yeah. Anyone do research for question bank outside of what we have from here?
Wikipedia and Quizlet.com.
I mean, another thing about the exam is like, I say it's modulated here as opposed to on
Wikipedia.
and based upon the mark.
And Quizlet has an app. Yeah, so the leader can question stuff on the phone. Quizlet.com. I was probably talking about something.
Maybe.
What they were talking about.
CFA?
SHKA.
Yeah, the CFP. This is with this course.
Wait, how many spelling quiz left?
You're saying primarily
Oh, okay.
That's been my first year. Kind of the planner.
Uh-huh.
And
Gmail.
The
Yeah,
US
2000.
version and I guess East Asian version seem to be more in depth. They talk about the same modules, but it seems like it's more in depth. So, I'm like, okay, so at the end of this, does this stack up to that?
Oh, give me 1 second. Let me just grab the file off my.
Yeah, is that what I mean?
Sorry.
Doing bid in conjunction with the CFA. I understand what
The
you say.
CFA is a completely different beast.
This is to me, this is
I'll take the range brush.
Yeah,
a broad brush. This is like
Someone very defined.
it's very broad brush.
Did you post
Some it's
the,
almost like for
classes that
someone
were filmed previously?
who is.
He's obviously having a bit of a technical issue. there.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
Well, look, while he's trying to get sorted out,
But someone who's just
do you
breaking
remember
it.
when
Someone
we
who's
were
new.
looking at the clothing imports case and we had that terrible job of trying to extract the cash flow?
From reading this,
And you found your cash flow worksheets.
yes, we got the cash flow worksheets.
Excellent. So we're going to do a bit of financial engineering then. So if we look at the clothing imports
That sounds like
cash
teaching.
flow worksheets, can we all confirm that in the first year, which was the difference between year 1 and year 2, we had a negative position at line D of 14,000, yeah? If anybody finds that, help their neighbour to find it. So we did the cash flow worksheet on clothing imports, and it was a real struggle to do it, if you remember. It gave us all a bit of a headache, but we managed to get a line D in net cash flow 14,000 negative. Somebody say yes?
I'm sorry, are we looking at the income statement?
No, the cash flow worksheet that we did.
One we did last week.
We're looking at the old.
The old one we did last week.
For year 2,
It looked like this, look on the screen. I'm putting it on the screen there. Can you see it, the cash flow worksheet?
No, Miguel has the screen on YouTube right now.
Okay, well, you know what the cash flow worksheet looks like. It starts with profit before interest and tax, and impact depreciation giving you line A, gross operating cash flow. You know, and we had change in working capital, and we worked all our way down. And we completed 2 years, didn't we? We had 1 year there, and then we had another year running alongside that.
Yes.
Everybody find it?
Yes, this is from.
Great. So when you find it, help the person next to you to find it or opposite to you.
that's what we did on clothing.
She was in here.
On clothing?
On the clothing
That was the
case.
very first class?
No,
Second
no,
class? Third
that's
class?
the last one.
Last
I was
one,
in
last
that
one.
So if you weren't there, that's going to be a bit of a problem.
It's fine. I'm already
So, so have you found it?
Yes.
Great, well
This
done.
is first class.
So if you haven't found it, just share with your neighbour and we'll talk a bit about this while we're waiting for Miguel.
Wants to do something.
So can everybody see that line D, that cash flow worksheet for clothing imports was negative?
Right.
So we have net cash flow before financing. Now that's the line I asked you to highlight. Line D is the net cash flow position. So when we're advising clients, what we really need to know, is this client cash positive or cash negative at line D?
Give me a
So,
Yes.
Oh, the clothing store.
I just asked the signal there. Is that a good thing, guys?
because he goes through how you get these from it's like the profit and loss. It's like
Yeah,
three
breaking up
things.
trouble
They
now,
use
must
the
be
profit
something that
index.
he's doing.
Yeah, give me a second, I
We
check
did
it.
it ourselves. Yeah, I didn't even.
I didn't realise you were trying to show things across on YouTube. We've got actual video.
Yeah, I had on YouTube. Folks, this is a video.
Interview one coming up.
Ken, you just need to have a review session. That's what you need to do. To organize your review session. Yeah, right here.
Oh, sorry, it's not in this week. He'll be back on Monday. Would you like to make an approach to him then?
Is there anybody else I can talk to?
The assistant manager's here. I'm afraid he's rather tied up in an important meeting and doesn't really want to be disturbed. Can you see him tomorrow morning?
No, I'll go get him up tomorrow. This is ridiculous. I mean, is there somebody else I can talk to? Somebody who could tell the manager about it, even if he couldn't do anything himself?
Well, can I have a word with Mr. Roberts, our securities clerk? Perhaps he can help you. Can I take a seat just for a moment?
Is it working?
Yes.
No, I can't do nothing.
Pause it for a second. Which one?
Testing, testing.
No, wait. Oh.
Testing.
Sometimes that's how it is. You sure?
Sorry. Testing, okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. James. Do come in. Oh, thank you. Would you like to make a crack on? Yes, thank you. There. Do take a seat. Sure. No, I believe you want to talk to somebody about a bank loan.
Yeah, do you want me to try showing you on my laptop and share the screen?
I've got to finish those returns to head office.
No,
before
we're
go
pretty
home.
good. We're pretty good. I'll stop it at the interview.
No, you'll appreciate that as I'm only the securities clerk, I have the authority to commit the bank anyway, but if I can help by listening, I'll be happy to. I gather the manager's away on holiday. Away, yes, but not on holiday. He's attending a week-long course at our bank staff college. Well, it's nice to know that even bank managers don't know it all, eh? Yes. Now, what's the problem, Mrs. James? Well, you may know my supermarket. In fact, I suppose you must do, really. It's, I've been banking with you ever since I opened 10 years ago. Oh, yes, we look upon you as one of our best customers. In fact, I think it was largely for your benefit that we had the night save installed. Ah, yes, I did want to apologise for that, for dropping the keys down the chute last week. Actually, it wasn't me, it was one of my girls. It was the first time she used it, you know. She has one to buy, all right. All right, Mr. James, I'm sure it can happen to anybody. Now, you were wanting a loan? Ah, yes, I was coming to that. I've got this marvellous opportunity of buying the shop next door, but I've got to be quick, otherwise it'll go to auction. Now, you're in two adjoining shops at the moment, aren't you? That's right, I'm in number 17 and 19, but number 21 has just become available, because the old boy who ran it as a paint shop has died, and it's going to be sold to some, well, or some great niece out in New Zealand. Well, if I can get an offer him quick, Just a minute, Mr. James. The existing premises, do you own those or do you rent them? Oh, I have to rent them. They're owned by some large London property company who would never sell them. But number 21 is just what I've been waiting for. You see, it would take my shop right up to the corner of the road now, you see? Then I could put the wines and spirits in number 17 where the customers come in. I could use the new shop for the butter and meat counter and there, and I could bring the cash registers over to there, where they all back. Not quite so fast, Mr. James. I can understand why you want to enlarge your premises, and I can see the advantages, but why do you have to buy this shop? Why can't you rent it? Well, I thought I just made it perfectly clear. The old boy who ran it has died, and his estate all goes to some great niece out in New Zealand. Well, his executor dropped in the other day asking about the mail. And he told me that he would have to be put up for sale. I mean, I was interested. I'd better get it up pretty quick and maybe save the cost of the auctions. I see. So you're asking us to lend you the purchase price? Well, not the whole sum, because I could never repay a loan that big. So I've had a word with my own mother. She's the life tenant of the public trust fund that comes to me anyway when she dies. She's over 80 now. She's quite happy to see the trust broke. Yes. My solicitor reckons I should get about £30,000 out of it after taxes and expenses on it. I see. Now this £30,000, this would be yours, would it, to put into the business long term? Yes, that's it precisely. So, how much would you need to borrow from us? Well, my surveyor reckons the shop is worth about 75,000, so I would need at least 45,000 for the purchase price. Plus the legal costs of purchase? Yes, I suppose I ought to allow a couple of thousand for those. At least, it'll be 1,500 for the stamp duty alone. I think we ought to say 3,000. That'll include the surveyor, the searches, and all the other legal items. Now, what about alterations to the properties? You obviously need to join them both up. That sounds like a lot of work for the builder. Not so much as I first thought, you see, because we can keep the same shop front and just change the fascia name board. The doors are in the right place, we need to use as exit doors. And, well, I mean, we can just needn't worry too much about the walls because the new shop fittings will hide those. I reckon about £2,000 should be enough for the builder, but that does include some plumbing and electrical installation work. 2,000. Now these new shop fittings that you mentioned, how much have you allowed for those? Well, some of those will have to be freezing units and refrigerated display units, so I reckon about £6,000 to cover that. 6,000. That gives us a round figure of what? £56,000. Yes, give or take 1,000. Does he think we're some fairy godmother? Do you have any up-to-date accounts, Mr. James? Yes, I thought you might ask for those, so I got my auditor to get a move on with this current year's figures. He's also put the last 2 years in, so you've got 3 years in all. See, thank you. Oh, hell. Why couldn't he have put it off until the manager comes back next week? Accounts were never my strong point. I see your turnover's been rising steadily. Yes, I suppose it was the bus up that did that. I suppose you'll see my bus. Of course, it's not really my own bus, but it's amazing how many people think it's my own private bus. It still belongs to the corporation, of course. Oh, yes, is it that big pink double-decker with, what is it, James for a choice in cheese? All along the side. Yes, that's the one, yes. I took a whole bus advert to the corporation. That's where they paid the bus with your entire advert, you see, yes. Yes, signwriting must have cost a fortune, but corporation paid for that. Actually, it was the painting that made me sign the 3-year contract. I'm sorry, I don't follow. Well, you see, when you have it, they painted in your colours first, and then they have to repaint. What the hell are we doing now, talking about painting buses? I'll never get the return to head office finished. Yes. So they gave me a choice. Either pay 6,000 for 1 year or 12,000 for 3 years. Well, I reckon it was a bargain to have 3 times as long for only twice as much money. So I opted for the 3-year contract at 4,000 a year. And has it done you any good? Oh yes, I think so. I think got my turnover up a bit. The best bit was when during the first week I went in to see how the signwriting was coming along. I managed to get the contract to supply the groceries to the bus garage canteen. Of course, that's all in the past now. I saw they were repainting it back to the normal colours only yesterday. I see your gross profit percentage has dropped over the last 3 years. Oh yes, I expected that. I had to get in amongst the price cutters to get the extra business, you understand. Well, that was part of my slogan on the bus. James is cheaper. James for a choice in cheeses. This gets worse. He hardly makes any profit. He couldn't pay the interest on a 56,000 loan, let alone any capital repayments. The manager will turn this down flat. We still don't like to see a business with falling profit margins, though, Mr. James. The truth of the matter is, You don't really make much profit, do you? Well, that's why I did the extra shop, you see. Then I can have more stock. The more stock I have, the more stock I can sell. The more profit I make.
Stock. More stock. We've made no provision for more stock in this figure of 56,000.
We don't have to. The creditors will take care of that. You see, they're quite happy to put the stock in and let me sell it before I pay them for it. In fact, I thought I might be able to cover some of the £56,000 that way. Then I wouldn't have to ask your people for so much money. That would save me quite a bit of interest.
Mr. James, I think it's very dangerous to scrounge money from your suppliers and tie it up in fixed assets. No, I think if you're going to buy this shop, you've got to borrow all of the money legitimately.
Well, it was a mere idea.
You see, what worries me is that you really can't afford to borrow this money. We look at the basic figure of £56,000. An interest rate of 17%. That comes out at what? £9,000. Now that's more than your profits. The bank would be gambling on you getting rising profits in order to see any chance of us getting our money back. But look at the figures yourself. How are you going to afford £9,000 plus capital repayments? Even if we took the capital repayments over, say, what, 10 years, that would work out to be, what, a minimum of £5,000. And they're not allowable against tax. Where's it going to come from? It simply isn't there.
Well, can't I use my depreciation for this?
Good heavens, Mr. James, what do you mean? You spent that money once on old shop fittings. You can't spend it again. The depreciation is getting rid of the old fittings. You've got to find the cash for the new fittings. I don't suppose the directors would be prepared to take a cut in their remuneration. That would help the position.
No, we can't afford to take a cut in salary. There's only myself and my wife as directors, and when you consider the hours we work, I think our staff are getting better paid than we are.
I never did understand what balance sheets were all about. Now, is this good or bad? Weak or strong? I've got to say something. Well, there's no way we're going to lend him 56,000, so I may as well blame it on his account. There are a couple of weak spots in your balance sheet too, Mr. James.
Weak spots?
Oh.
My accountant always said it was a good balance sheet.
Well, he would, wouldn't he? He sold it to you. I've probably overcharged you for it as well. Your current ratio is all wrong.
What's my current ratio?
Well, it's the ratio of your current assets to your current liabilities. It should be something like 1.5, and it's less than 1. You can see for yourself. In your case, it's always been less than 1.
What does it mean? I mean, why is it wrong? Business runs all right.
Well, it's a bit difficult to explain, Mr. James, but at the end of the day, it works out that unless your current ratio is something like 1.5, then you're heading for a lot of trouble.
Well, how do I make it 1.5?
Well, you put some money into a bank deposit for a start. That would improve the situation.
If banks help you, it would do it. Banks would do it.
Well, it would mean that you're borrowing much less from us in order to buy your new shop.
Look, I'm bringing in that £30,000 from my mother's trust fund. I mean, if I was to put that on a deposit account with you a few days before I completed the purchase price transaction, would that do it?
Oh, I've got a clever one here. Where did I go wrong? No, that wouldn't do at all.
Why not?
Because it wouldn't appear in the balance sheet. You've just had your new balance sheet date. By the time you get the next one, it'll have disappeared.
Oh, I'll change the balance sheet date.
No, I'm afraid that's quite impossible, Mr. James. But I really am very sorry, Mr. James, but I just don't see how we can help you. You're trying to borrow too much and you simply can't afford it.
If I don't expand, I'll never make more profits. If I don't get that shop next door, I'll never expand.
I really am very sorry, Mr. James, but I just don't see how we can back you in this matter.
You mean you won't? 10 years I've been banking with you. In that time, I must put about £4 million into this bank. And you won't let me have this more 56,000 quid. All right? I'll take my business elsewhere.
Look, I really am very sorry, Mr. James, but you...
Well, fella, it sound like me flum-flum to my job, too. Hey, Chappie, we're done?
Okay.
Did you hear anything?
No, not a thing.
Wow. All right, good.
Okay, so let's discuss what you saw. I mean, what was the outcome of the interview? What was the result?
You didn't get it?
Can you pull the mic down the table a bit, please?
You didn't get the 56,000 pounds.
Yeah, but not just that. What was the result from a customer relationship standpoint?
A disgruntled customer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you lost the customer. You've been a customer how many years?
10 years.
20 years, and he storms out of the room. So the interview was an absolute disaster.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the handout, the customer relationship skills handout, you'll see on page 11 we talk about interviewing techniques. And you'll see, on page 12 we talk about preparation and planning and preparing for the interview. So did he do any preparation for the interview?
No.
Nope.
No. I mean, in fairness to him,
He was a walk-in.
He was filling in.
He was a walk-in.
what happened to him? What was the thing he did wrong? What was the basic mistake he made?
At the interview.
Taking the interview, yeah. I mean, what he should have done was, and I mean, if you've tried this, good luck to you, but if a customer comes in to see you with an annual report and accounts, even if they're, reasonably straightforward as these documents are that you've got there, which are the actual accounts from the firm, even if you're a very, very, very skilled analyst, it's very difficult to conduct an interview, and try and gain information from this paperwork simultaneously, yeah? Or simultaneously. So what should he have done with hindsight? What would have been the better thing to do?
Reschedule.
Yeah, reschedule, yeah. Say, thanks, let him tell you a bit about his plan because he wants to tell you about that. And then just say, thanks very much for bringing in all these documents, but I need a little bit of time to study the documents, and then we'll reschedule. We'll have a second meeting, or you could schedule a meeting for when the bank manager comes back. But because he made that classic mistake of trying to handle the interview and interpret the information at the same time, plus given the fact that he's the securities clerk and he doesn't really understand the accounts anyway, he makes some terrible statements. Can anybody give me one of the erroneous statements he made during the interview relative to the accounts? I mean, there were quite a few.
And he said that he found a mistake that the accountant made.
In what?
In terms of the current ratio?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what was he on about the current ratio? What did he say about the current ratio?
He said it should be 1.5.
Right.
It was less than
It's
one.
less than 1.
Yeah, and what did he say would happen if your business was like that?
We didn't tell.
He made the stupid statement saying the business, is heading for big trouble, etc., unless your current ratio is so-and-so. Well, as financial planners, we would never slip into that type of jargon, unless we were going to explain this relationship to the customer. You don't just come up with some formula that he's heard maybe 10 years ago, which is right out of date in the modern world, yeah? And as we discussed before, you've got to get behind the figures, because if you're looking at a grocery store, or if you're looking at a larger food retailing group like you have in Nassau, and you look at the current ratio, quite often the current ratio will be less than 1-to-1 because of the nature of the business. And what we mean by that is, if we take a look together at the balance sheet, if you look at the 3 balance sheets, you'll see why, if you use this ratio, why it gives a misleading impression, and it certainly misled the security clerk. because can you see large? And I can't remember from the film whether he asked them what the debtors were. Did he ask what the debtors were or not?
No.
No, he never
No?
did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's very unusual, and you'd want to ask, well, why is there this debtor figure? But anyway, if you take debtors and then cash, you get $40,000 approximately. And then, of course, because it's a food retail store, you know, they'll have a lot of stuff come in from the suppliers, you know, the cans of beans, the cereals, the fresh fruit, vegetables, blah, blah, blah. They'll be taking supplier credit. Now, this, in a few minutes, we'll take a look in more depth at this, but generally, the supplier credit generally will be around 30 days. And of course, in a food retail store, if you're turning, you know, your stock over quickly, which you need to do because of a lot of it will be quite fresh, although some of it will be, you know, slower. But nevertheless, what you generally find in a food retail store or in the larger food retail groups, what you'll find generally is the creditor figure will be higher than the stock. This is the success of, you know, food retailing, turning the stock over quickly and then paying your suppliers when it's due. So when you take these figures, 22 plus 11 plus 6, giving you $40,000, and then you look at the current liabilities, 50,000 for creditors, 5,000 accruals, a little bit of tax, you get in total 57. So technically he's quite correct that the business has a negative position of $16,000. But it's not a bad thing, so to suggest to the customer it's a bad thing, you know, when this man's been a customer for a long, long time and been a grocer for a long, long time, I mean, he knows the business works well, so it's ridiculous to pick out a figure like this and say the business is having for trouble. That was one point, very good. Now there's something else he picked on. Anybody think of something else he picked on?
Maybe you asked about cutting the salary.
Well, yeah, he asked them about that. Yeah, that wasn't quite as ridiculous, but it's a question, yeah. There was something else. Anybody think of anything else which was a bit odd the way he explained it? What about depreciation? Do you remember what he said there?
About the fittings?
No, he said something about him not being able to use depreciation again.
Because you already
That's right.
got
Yeah,
rid of the old
Yeah.
stuff, and then he has to buy new stuff.
It's a source of cash flow, yeah. So we talked earlier about depreciation being a non-cash
Cash item.
item because you never pay cash for depreciation, you never write a check out. So the customer had obviously heard of this sort of thing from his accountant, you know, maybe or a friend told him, oh, well, you can use, you know, this as an add back in terms of your cash flow, but of course the security clerk, because he didn't understand depreciation, he just chopped him straight down there, didn't he? And he said, oh no, you can't, you know, you can't use that. You know, that's based on, you know, a charge against your assets from years ago. So overall, the interview was very poorly handled, and also on his mind all the time, he had something else that he had to do, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he didn't want to give him any time to start with. Why? Because he had these returns to do for head office. So all in all, a very, very poorly planned interview, resulting in a disaster. Because the customer, you know, heading for the door saying, I want to take my business elsewhere. So as financial planners, it's really, really good, you know, to do your homework, just like we did on clothing imports. You know, we did a lot of homework on clothing imports. So that's what I'd like to do for the remaining 15 minutes. So Miguel will be quite pleased because he won't need to play the second part of the film at the moment, which means he can go dashing off while we do mathematics, provided is one proviso, Miguel, that you've given them a blank summary ratio sheet. Mathematics.
Yeah, they should have the ratio sheets.
Yeah, they should say
And the
Sheets with all those numbers on it.
And you should have a ratio sheet as well. And you should have a summary ratio sheet from when we did the clothing imports case. And ask Miguel to print you an extra one this morning.
Remember we looked like folks? It looks like this.
ratios and definitions?
Yeah.
No.
No, wait. The ratio sheets?
Yeah, that's ratios and definitions.
Ratios and definitions?
Yeah.
And then the cash flow worksheet.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The ratio sheet's in module 2, and it comes after the clothing imports case study.
Should be like page 10 or something, page 9 or 10.
So that's what you want next. You probably use that for the clothing imports case, which is why I asked the guy to print you an extra one this morning.
Used?
Yeah, sorry, the cash flow sheet.
No, you did the cash flow sheet, but we also need the summary ratio sheet.
Oh, you know what, yeah, sorry. That sheet I haven't printed out for you.
Okay, well that's what we need first. We need
Yeah,
that
sorry
now.
about that.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we can printing on our, we can start with the top line. So what we need to do is imagine that we are, you know, as financial planners, we're going to interview James the Grocer, but we're going to do what we've been doing successfully so far, you know, on this program is we're going to, you know, dig into things, try and find out more, get a better knowledge of the customer, you know, to make our job better and to make the interview for the customer much more worthwhile. So we need to do some homework. So the thing to do to start with is a bit of number crunching. So if you can, you know, help the person next to you or the person opposite you. And what we're going to need to do, start with, is on that summary ratio sheet, can you see what the first ratio is? It's sales growth, isn't it?
Alright.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what we want to do to start with. Now, just like before, we can't do the sales growth for the opening year because we don't have the preceding year, yeah?
Yeah.
So the first sales growth figure we can do for the following year and the year after that. So if we start by doing sales growth, while the guys printing this and spare sheets out. So sales growth out for this first one with you. Is my screen showing again now or not?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you've got then is sales in year 2 of 511,248, and we're going to deduct from that. So we've got 511,248, and we're going to deduct 451,053, and then we're going to divide that by the sales in the first year there, see what the growth is. 13.3%?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so leave the final year just for the moment, and I'll take you through back and go. So go back into the first year. And what's the second ratio that we want for the first year?
The first one sales.
Gross profit
Page
percentage?
14.
Gross profit margin.
So you just use
Huh?
Divided by the
Very good.
4.053.
Thank you.
Now the gross profit, you remember, is gross profit divided by sales multiplied by 100. Now you can see the accountant actually done that for us.
Yes, yes.
But we'll just check with this one to make sure his figures are okay. So if we put 66,810
They did it.
divided by sales of 451,053, multiplied by 100, we should get 14.8%, yes. So agree the accountant's figure. Next one that you will be looking for is it the operating profit, PBIT?
Yes.
Okay, now this is where we've got to do a little bit of work with the way the accountants prepared the figures. So can you see we've got rent, wages, etc., coming all the way down, and then there's some depreciation there. So what we're looking for is the operating profit, which you remember was profit before interest and tax. or EBIT. Now can you see in year one, look, we've got net profit before tax, $4,008.
Yes.
But if you look just above that, you'll see there's no interest charge. Now the reason there's no interest charge is if you just flip into the balance sheet for a moment, you'll see there's no debt.
Right.
So there's no debt at the moment. So actually, your operating profit will be the same as the profit before tax because there's no interest charge. So for that operating profit figure and for that profit before tax figure, on your ratio summary sheet, you need to take $4,008 and divide it by the sales of 451,053 and multiply by 100 and you should get 0.9.
Yes.
Is it 0.9%?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's very finely balanced in terms of profit there. And then I think the final one on your sheet is the net profit. Now that might not be on the printed version because I think we had to write it on the last time. Did we put net profit on?
Yes, but we have something called pre-tax profit margin.
Yeah, we've got that. That's the same as the operating profit, but there's no interest. So the net profit, you can see it on the first year there. Can you see retained profit for the year? So if you mark against that net profit, 2358. So if you divide 2358 by the sales, 451,053, you'll get the net profit at 0.5.
Correct.
0.5%, thank you. So what we'll do is we'll continue for our final 10 minutes by looking at some of the other ones. So if you go on the next section I think was the balance sheet ratios. And what was the first one on your summary ratio sheet? Is it the current ratio?
Working capital.
Yeah, working capital. So working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. So we're now focusing on the balance sheet. And we've got current assets of $40,000 approximately, current liabilities of just over $57,000. Now the accountant's done this, so working capital is negative $16,121. So you can just write that figure in. Now is the next one the current ratio?
Yes.
So this is the same two figures, but one divided by the other. So that's 40904 for the current assets, divided by the current liabilities of 57025, and that equals approximately 0.7 to 1. So the security clerk's correct, it is, less than 2 to 1 or less than 1 to 1, but the business isn't necessarily heading for trouble as he concluded. Okay, what's your next one?
Quick ratio.
Quick ratio. So that's the same two figures, but this time we deduct the stock or the inventory because generally that's the slowest turning. So if you take your current assets at 40904 and you deduct the inventory at 22150, you get a figure for quick assets of 18754. And then we can divide that by 57025. Yeah, point 3 to 1, thank you. Next figure on your worksheet.
Trade debtors and days.
Okay, now the next section is that complicated one, remember, where we flip between some figures from the balance sheet and some figures from the income statement. So the first one being debtor days, very important ratio, particularly for any business and particularly for the grocery store. So we've got 11897 for the debtors. And we're going to divide that by the sales from the income statement at 451053. And then be careful, because this time we're going to multiply by 365 to give us the figure in days. And that gives us 9.6 days. Let's call it 10 days, because it's not very good to give points, you know, on days. So put 10 days, okay, on that? Just make sure you've got that. So debtors divided by sales times 365 gives us 10 days. Everybody okay with that? We're just doing it.
What did you get for that again?
So you see, this is the type of homework he should have done before the interview. Or, if he'd rescheduled the interview, this is the sort of homework you could have done before he sees the customer again. You know, and opens his big mouth and tells that to stupid comments.
So we round up everything.
Yes. Yeah. 11897 divided by 500.
So that is divided by sales times 365. Should give you about 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the next one you've got? Is it creditors or stock?
Stock.
Okay, so stock 22150. But be careful, because this time you divide by the cost of sales from the income statement, which you can see the cost of sales is 384243. And then multiply that by 365. You should get approximately 21 days.
Correct.
Good. And then the third important ratio in this section is the creditors, how long the customer is taking to pay the creditors. So back into the balance sheet, there's the creditors, into the calculator 50247. And again, be careful, because we divide this by cost of goods sold. $384,243, and we multiply that by 365. And I make that 48 days, is that right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Thanks. Okay. Now, what else have we got? Because we've only got 5 minutes to go today.
Asset efficiency.
Now, asset efficiency, as I mentioned to you, this ratio has hardly ever worked. But I think it's very good, because it lets you see how many times the business is turning over all the assets in the balance sheet relative to sales. So we need to go into the balance sheet. Now, because I said all the assets, that means the current assets
Plus the fixed assets.
plus the fixed assets. So to get all of the assets, we've got to take, there's the fixed assets, look, 43350, and then add to that the current assets, which is 40904, and that will give us the total assets, 84254.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. And then that's all the assets in the balance sheet. Now we're going to see how many times all of those assets in this particular business are turned over relative to the sales. So if we take the sales figure once again at 451053, and we divide it by our total asset figure of 84254, we'll see that the assets turn over approximately 5.4 times.
Yes.
Great. Now you could say, well, what does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean a lot until we see what the other years were, so we can see the trend, and it doesn't we've been working on, yeah? So that's that one. Now we've just got time, I think, to finish the gearing bit at the bottom there.
Yeah.
No, so let's see what comes next. We've got interest cover. Is that the next one?
Yeah.
Now interest cover is going to be really quick because there's no interest.
No, not
so you can put a line there. And then the next one debt gearing?
Leverage.
Or leverage. So there will be leverage because there are some liabilities. So what we've got to look at is in the balance sheet for the liabilities. So there we are in the balance sheet liabilities. We've got 57,025. If we're going to divide those liabilities by the net worth in this particular case is plus 7.
Oh, you're breaking up.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
Yeah.
Would you repeat that, please?
I will do. It certainly was breaking up. So did you find the liabilities figure?
Yeah.
Yes.
57,025. And we're going to divide that by the net worth, which is 27,229. And as I said before, if you're not sure of this figure, whatever balance sheet you're looking at, you can prove it by adding all the assets together and then deducting the liabilities. And that'll give the net worth figure. Okay on that? So I get the leverage to be 2.1 approximately. And if you prefer it as a percentage, it's 210% leverage. We'll talk about that more next week. But then the other ratio, which I think is the final one on your summary sheet, is the gearing ratio. So that's the debt to equity. And as you know, there's no debt in this particular case at the moment. Again, that ratio is not applicable at the moment. Okay, now if you just get like 10 minutes between now and next week, could you try on your own and complete that final year ratios before we meet next week? So that's not too much homework. Take you about 10 minutes or so, and then next week we'll start to talk about what these ratios tell us, and then we're in good shape for meeting James LaGrossa, as you'll see in the second interview. And you'll see it's the bank manager in the second interview, and he's done a lot of homework, just like we're doing right now. So it'll be interesting to see, what he makes of the figures. So thanks very much for giving up the Saturday morning. Thanks to Miguel for technicalities, which seem to work pretty good this week. Work for us out, good chance. And we'll see you next Saturday. Thanks very much. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Jack.